Welcome to the virtual Tsukuba Circuit located in Shomatsuma, Japan for the 5th round of the Renault Clio League. Can just see how wet it is out there. My word, it is like a swimming pool as we ride on board with the D2 Championship leader Anthony Hilton up towards turn number 1, trying to find where to go on this circuit. Keep it tight. Push it wide. Don't want to touch the curbing though. That's one thing you don't want to do in the wet. Keeping it off the curbing again. Over to the right hand side. This is going to be a tough corner in these conditions. Can Hilton keep it tight? He does. Getting some good practice in the wet during that practice time. Up towards turn number 5 now. Then the moto layout. Not commonly used, but it's the chicane that is added here. Don't cut the corner, it's easy to do so. Extend this straight up towards the hairpin. The rain has stopped. That is important to note. The rain has stopped. Everyone is out on track though. Those coming out later could get better conditions on their second flying lap. Anthony Hilton exits turn 9 of the hairpin at the top of the circuit. And up now in towards turn number 10, the final turn, and one of the hardest on the circuit in my own personal opinion. Very easy to get the braking point wrong, very easy to push it out way too wide, keeping it nicely on the circuit though for Hilton. We are getting ready though. There was a jump start for a driver there, and it is Jeffrey Schneckel who has jumped the start, and it is a driver who not got off the lane at the very back. I'm trying to figure out who that was. It was Paul Braunstein who did not get away off the line here. So a jump start for Schneckel and no start for Braunstein. He's on the way now out the back. Good launch for Van der Hoyt though. He has pulled it away. Out in the lead, he's held that. Stephen Hurd, Mark Codd, side by side here in second and third position. Is there going to be contact as they go into the moto section at this chicane? No, they keep it really close together, but they keep it perfectly in line with each other. Oh, let's jump back. There's contact. No, it's contact and a spin from Jared Swaim, and Poplar's going to have to recover from that one. That is a real shame for him. Matt Malone has made his way up to 7th overall, and he's going to look for 6th overall here. Up the inside of Eric Martin. Migon's really deep here in the wet. He's off the circuit. He's got to get it back on. He's lost the position to Matt Gwilym now. He's down to 8. It is 6th in class. That's Matt Malone ahead of him. They're fighting for 5th in class. Ahead of them is the fight for the the D2 field. Off track ever so slightly goes Eric Martin. Matt Malone trying to find his way past. He's going to want to put a D2 driver between himself and Gwilym here as they go on the exit of turn number 7 through the kink of 8. Malone's on the outside. There's a lot of water around that curbing of 8, but it is going to be the long way round. Is it going to work out? It doesn't look like it is. Or is it? Because it looks like he's got a fantastic exit. Matt Malone found speed on the exit there, taking a wider line. So even though it's right towards the back, there is still a class fight going in here. Braunstein, of course, did not get off the line, remember. He's gone a little bit wrong through the hairpin, though. Up the inside goes Zach Gould, and Gould makes that move through. A lovely move up the inside for him. On the right-hand side, following Matt Malone. So the two Matts on the right-hand side up towards the final turn. It looks like Matt Gwilym is going to go for the inside line on Martin. Malone's very wide there. Could become 3 wide. He cuts it in just in time. No contact. Keeps it clean. Swaim now. Can Malone once again? He goes for the outside line. It's the longer way around, but he can just get the speed on the exit. Look at the speed he's got. He's going to close up towards the back of Jared Swaim. It's not quite enough to make that move up the inside, unfortunately. That outside line to be the beneficial line, and it looks like Swaim's trying it out. It hasn't worked though. Matt Malone's gone for the inside. Swaim has got the speed on the exit. He holds that inside line up towards the chicane, and Malone just can't quite make the way through. It has been a reappearance there for Jared Swaim. Matt Malone on his rear. Is that contact? They are sliding But they have both held it. Matt Malone now up the inside. There's another bit of contact. Malone takes 5th overall. Swaim is off the circuit. He's having some connection issues, and that has allowed Eric Martin to take the lead of the D2 field. But here comes Philip van der Hoek around the final turn to win the Heat Race 1 in Division 1. It's Stephen Hurd in 3rd and Mark Todd in 4th. How's this fight going to end behind Eric Martin? It's going to win D2. What just happened? How did Matt Malone survive when he was sideways? It is Philip van der Hoek ahead of Stephen Hurd, ahead of Mark Codd, Andrew Jordan in 4th, followed by Eric Martin, Matt Malone, Matt Gwillim, Jared Swain, Bob Poplar, Peter McIntyre. Then at the back of the field was Braunstein, Gould and Schneckel. They are lined up and they are preparing and they are off at the start of this one. It is Vukovic pulling away out front. Henriquez trying to hold on to 2nd behind as they come through turn number 1. Ian Lane holding on to 4th. There we go. Anders Hagland pulling into 5th. But Vukovic has had a very good launch side to side towards the back of this field as they come through the hairpin. That's Anthony Hilton. He's the D2 championship leader. He is getting shuffled though at the moment down the order, and there's contact. Riley Downey and Anthony Hilton, championship rivals, fighting it out in the D2-1 class, have had contact. More contact in the back. There's Riley Downey appearing on track. He's surely going to have had a slowdown out of that one. Had a fantastic set of races in Portland, somehow coming to win the heat race for Division 2 and the feature race 1 in Division 2 out of absolutely nowhere both times. Oh, I say nowhere as he's going to dive up the inside of the number 6. There's a slight bit of contact with Joel Swain. He sticks it behind, and Riley Downey's just going to have to hold on to 9th place right now. But the heat races aren't where the points are fully on offer. That is feature race 1. That's the race you want to do your best in. This is sorting your grid out for that. And right now, Riley Downey's going to find himself pretty far down the order, but he dives at the inside of Joel Swain again. There is contact this time. A little bit of a nudge on the rear end as Downey is desperately looking for a way up the inside on any of these corners that he possibly can, but it's the two of the hairpins that he's properly going for. In all of your positions, just so you are aware, as that was McBuller looking to try and get the outside of Downey, it doesn't work. The only 2 drivers who have swapped positions so far this race has been Joel Swain and Riley Downey. Downey started this race in 8th overall. Swain started in 9th overall. That has been your only position change from the grid order. Swain is now down side by side, I think, with Riley Downey. Yes, he is, as Downey has made his way through the hairpin. Swain now under attack from Clayton McBuller as they head up towards the turn 9 hairpin. McBuller just a lot later on the brakes. Can he go for the speed this time? He's gone for the speed. Is he going to switch to the inside? He does. He looks to the inside. Matty Quidlan behind, looking to the inside as well, but way too far back. Just trying to follow the slipstream of the driver with more speed. And that is up the inside of McBuller, up the inside of Joel Swain. A little bit of contact. Swain trying to get as tight as he possibly can. Couldn't get any tighter because McBuller was there. Up towards the hairpin there, and this has invited Matty Quidlan into this fight as he's trying to get involved, but Clayton McBuller does hold ahead of Swain. But Vukovic wins the Division 1 category as he crosses the line here at Tsukuba. Henriquez takes 2nd ahead of Fox in 3rd, and Anders Hagland, for the first time this season, wins the D2 category. Vukovic won that one ahead of Henriquez, and Fox Hagland got 4th and won the D2 category. Following that was Ian Lane. Anthony Hilton beat Richard Edgar to 2nd in the D2 field, and Riley Downey was down in 4th. Clayton McBuller got 9th overall, followed by Joel Swain. And then at the back of the field then, in 11th position, if I can get us to show that page. There we go, we've got Matty Quidland in 11th and Michael Wynn at the back of the field. As the lights go green, we are away. Who can get the better launch? It is looking dry here. And that being said, Herc, Vukovic and Hurd all on dry tyres. They are all on dry tyres. Most of the field still on wet tyres. There is still a little bit of spray. Vukovic drops down and could have tried to go for the lead. Couldn't quite do it. As drivers sort of fill out, it is Henriquez, sorry. He's on the wet tyres, and he has pulled to the lead. Matt Malone on wet tyres has pulled to 4th. Eric Martin falling down the order. It was another black flag for jump start for Jeffrey Schnackel. 2-2 races for him. Vukovic up the inside of Van der Herk here, and that is a meatball flag for Eric Martin. But these wet tyres seem to be the play here. Matt Malone is coming through on the outside. Could this be a mistake to go onto the dry contact? And that is Van der Herk spinning Vukovic, and Matt Malone just parting the waves like Moses. Moves into 2nd position and is now chasing down Luis Henriquez, as there is a mix of tyres behind in this huge gaggle of drivers heading up to the hairpin. Drivers going straight on. It is 5 wide in the hairpin at Tsukuba, and around a driver goes into the wall. There was Stephen Hurd. D1 top driver is into the wall towards the back of the field, and he will have a meatball flag, and his contention for the race here is over. It will all be down to how many drivers are reversed for feature 2. Contact and a driver into the pit wall. That's the Formula Llama machine. He tucks it up the inside. Can he hold it? It looks like he can. And they all get through. Are they going to finally settle themselves down as the fight on dry tyres is in 3rd? Meatball flag for Zach Gould in the background. Going to dry up enough by the end of this race that the dry compound tyres are going to be worth it. 3 wide on the exit. Are the wet tyres going to play onto the benefit of D2 leader Jared Swain? He tucks behind Vukovic. Doesn't go for that move. As we go through the final turn, he now goes to the inside. It's just got so much more speed on the wet tyres. Vukovic now needing to defend from Ian Lane behind, also on wet tyres. They are trying to find the dry line out there. There is certainly a dry line forming, but it's not the optimum tyre to be on yet. Will it be the optimum tyre shortly though, as that's deep from Van der Herk. Up the inside goes Jared Swain, and here comes Ian Lane to try and take 3rd in class. He's around the outside as we head up to the chicane. They're side by side, and he gets the inside. Ian Lane moves to 3rd in class on the wet compounder tyres. Dry tyres for Gould, Hurd and Martin, who've all been down pit lane. Contacts there as it's still side by side, and here he comes. Riley Downey on the wet compounder tyres is looking to try and get past Van High. Contact in the background, and that was Richard Edgar around into the wall. Vukovic dives up the inside of Van der Herk. Of course, they are both on the dry compounder tyres. So they are competing with each other here as we head up towards the hairpin. And they keep it so tight. Vukovic keeps it on the outside. We'll have the inside to the right-hander as we head up towards chicane. And Vukovic takes 4th in class, 6th overall right now. Look at the gap to the leader. Henriquez is already crossing the start-finish line now. Vukovic certainly could find pace here on the dry tyre, and it does look like it's coming in now. But is he going to find what is a gap of 8 seconds to the race leader? I don't think he will find that, even if the dry tyre suddenly becomes the fastest, as it has, a 1:10.2. He's trying to chase down Casey McBuller, but caught, of course, on the dry compounded tyres. And in fact, here comes Anthony Hilton, the D2 driver. He is on wet tyres. The left-hand side there, you've got your wet and you've got your greys. So greys are your dry tyres. The wet blue ones obviously being your wet tyres. Up towards the final turn here. It looks like that is a possible side-by-side up in front here, as Hagland has got McBuller up the inside. They go side-by-side, but they sort themselves out. Luis Henriquez has responded to Matt Malone's fastest lap. It's gone a 10.08. But Milan Vukovic has responded to both of them, and it's gone a 1:9.9. He certainly is closing in. From Vukovic, he goes to the right-hand side. He's got Ian Lane on the left. And Vukovic dives to the inside. A little bit of contact. Just a small touch. Who's going to get the better exit? The driver on the wet tyres, the driver on the dry tyres. It looks like they got a pretty even exit there between the two of them. Vukovic will have the inside line into the final turn, and Vukovic takes 3rd once more in class. As Henriquez goes a 1:09.8, it's a 1:09.7 for Vukovic. Through turn number 1, a wider line there from Spain. And it is a 1:09 flat from Van der Herk, who was not fighting with anyone last lap. And you can see he's closing in to Ian Lane behind as well now. So these dry tyres are certainly now coming into play, as Vukovic made a way around the outside of Spain and had a great run. Now looking up the inside of Jared Spain. Vukovic put a 1:08.6 down in 10th and 11th position. This is for 3rd in D2 right now, and Hilton holds on to 3rd position behind. That's Gwilym and Fox side by side. Hagland gets the inside of Hilton. There is contact. There's more contact for Hilton. There's more contact. They all settle themselves down, but it's 3 abreast here. But Hagland holds on to 3rd in class, and they look like they're sorting themselves up towards the final turn here. Is side by side behind still. Van der Herk goes fastest. He risked the dry tyres. They were not the tyre to be on for the first 10 minutes of this race. They have been the tyre to be on here at the end. Matt Malone moves to the right. Is he driving defensive, or is he just going to let Vukovic through? He's driving defensive, but Vukovic on the outside has got speed. But it is a little bit wet there. It's white flag now as we go on to the final lap of the race. Matt Malone battling with Milan Vukovic for 2nd. It's wet tyres versus dry tyres. The dry tyres on the outside have got so much speed, and through goes Milan Vukovic. Can Van der Herk take 3rd position away from Matt Malone here? Can Vukovic capture Henriquez? It's 3 seconds, so I think Luis Henriquez might win this one on the wet tyres. Matt Malone going defensive on Willem van der Herk. If he can keep it up towards the final turn, he should be able to hold on to 3rd, because he ran a great defensive line on Vukovic last time around. 2 different racing lines, and up the inside goes Van der Herk. He's got a great amount of speed, and he's going to have the inside line out towards the final turn. But it is Luis Henriquez Who wins feature race 1 on the wet tyres? Milan Vukovic takes second on the dries, followed by Van der Herk on the dries, and Matt Malone on the wet. Luis Enriquez won that race on the wet compounder tyres in the end, as Martin goes even faster at the very end of this race on the dries. Milan Vukovic takes second ahead of Philip Van der Herk. Fourth was Matt Malone. Jared Swaim won D2. Great for him in the championship alongside Riley Downey, who took second. And the top 3 in the championship of D2 all finished in the top 3 in the race of D2. Harry Fox took 8th, followed by Clayton McBullough. And Anthony Hilton took 10th overall and took 3rd in class. Rest of the field came as so. Matt Gwilym ahead of Matty Cridland. Then it was Anders Hagland, followed by Jeffrey Schneckel, Joel Swain, Michael Wynn, Peter McIntyre, Zach Gould, Richard Edgar, and a lap down was Paul Braunstein. Rest of the field was Ian Lane, Bob Poplar, and Eric Martin, all 2 laps down after issues for each of them. And then Stephen Hurd out of the race after a crash very early on. We're green and we are away here for the final race of the day, as our Division 2 drivers are the ones leading us away from the very front of the field, as it is Richard Edgar away from the very front and will be holding on to the lead as we continue through out of turn number 1, side by side all the way behind, trying not to get into accidents in these early stages. Trying to keep it clean, but there is contact already. A little bit of a slide there as Joel Swain moves past Michael Wynn. Jeffrey Schneckel now on the outside of Wynn will move up the order as well. Jeffrey Schneckel now up to 5th position overall and 5th position in class. Changes back towards the back end of the field as the D2 drivers are holding up the D1 drivers, and D1 drivers wanting to find their way through, but at the moment it's going to keep it clean. Paul Braunstein has an equal flag at the very start of this race, will be going down pit lane, and his feature race is done. Contact there, 2 drivers falling down the order, trying to see which drivers have fallen down. It's Matty Cridland and Michael Wynn. Matty Cridland was the highest starting D1 driver. He has fallen down though, as there's more contact behind as the straight continues, and it looks like that may have been Matty Cridland getting into some more issues behind. Out of turn number 1 though, and the first lap of 17 expected is done. Side by side they go. Downey looking to try and hold up Box. He's going to want to try and stick the D2 drivers that are in front of him. Look how many are ahead of him, including championship rival Anders Hagland. Luckily for him, Jared Swain down in 12th overall at the moment. Still running side by side though, but he does hold on. Harry Fox now under attack from Matt Gwilym. Matt Gwilym comes in. There's contact between Fox and Gwilym. Somehow they're both facing the right way. They get into the braking zone of turn number 9. Fox on the outside, on the inside side. Gwilym on the inside, and actually that is going to be McBullough now, looking to try and go up the inside. Vukovic just behind as well. Vukovic starting this race, of course, from 18th position. He has moved up to 11th already as we go through turn number 1. Philip Van der Herk not able to move up quite so well, neither is Enriquez or Matt Malone. He's never able to find his way to keep it towards the end. Vukovic dives up the inside of Matt Gwilym. They're side by side. Will that be an overtake for Vukovic? It will indeed, but can he hold it as we head up towards turn 1? You can see the gap that Edgar has pulled out at the front there. Gwilym has got a slight overlap on Vukovic as they head up towards the final turn. Of course, it is going to be the inside line for Vukovic, and he makes the move through. There's contact ahead, though. Riley Downey is wide after that contact. Hopefully, there's not too much damage, but he has just lost 4 positions. Fortunately for him, none of them are points-paying positions. They are all the D1 cars that has just got past him, past Matt Malone, and that is not going to be good as Matt Malone has got no front bumper after that contact. He has it again, no. He's got that magic European bumper. He certainly has some damage, though. He's now going to have to contend with side by side with Hilton. Right now, side by side behind, it is going to be Gwilym looking up the inside of Fox. Can't quite do it, and has invited McBullough around his outside. Has Gwilym but it looks like he's going to be able to hold it. Nope, McBuller's just got his nose in here. McBuller and Gwilym now side by side in the battle for 9th position. And McBuller gets it up the inside and moves in to 9th position. Gwilym backs out of it just a little bit, doesn't want to go too hard side by side, and he backs out so that he can get a good run up towards the hairpin, I'm sure, thinking ahead. For second, Jeffrey Schneckel got black flagged in Heat Race 1 and Feature Race 1 for jumping the start. He's not been black flagged this race and is now side by side with Zach Gould as they look for second position. Schneckel gets it up the inside and holds on to second, and as Hagland moves through into third, and Gould is now the driver with Vukovic behind. Some connections issues today. Into the hairpin of turn 4. Matt Malone's got the inside line, but we know what the speed is like on the exit. Up to the chicane now, the moto layout is going to give Hurd the inside line. Matt Malone, though, is going to hold it around the outside. It gives him the inside through the actual chicane. He doesn't push all the way to the outside, though, because you still had Stephen Hurd there. They're still side by side. He's going to put Matt Malone on the outside line. Could give him some good speed at the exit. Of course, Malone running with front end damage is not going to have the best of straight line speeds as Hurd is through past Malone. Can he hold it, though? He has got Van der Hoyt pushing him, so Hurd could do it on the inside now. And he does. Matt Malone falls behind Hurd, side by side with Van der Hoek here. Can he hold that position for 13th overall? Van der Hoek's going to have the inside, and here comes Jared Swain trying to get involved in all of this as well. Side by side between the two teammates ahead. They sort themselves out, and McBuller and McIntyre swap positions for 10th and 11th. Matt Malone is still side by side with drivers here, but this time it's Jared Swain. That damage is just making him fall further and further down the order as we go into the chicane once more. He settles himself single file into 14th overall, pushes much wider on the exit. Two different racing lines here. Jeffrey Schneckel goes defensive. Milan Vukovic goes on the outside line. Can he get the speed on the exit? No, Schneckel placing it perfectly there as Vukovic goes to 105.4. It's half a second faster. Goes ahead. A black flag for D2 Championship leader Anthony Hilton for exceeding the incident limit, I believe. Is a lap down after his penalty. Will Bob Poplar also go a lap down? Different racing lines here as we look for the fight for 9th overall. This is Jared Swain. He's 5th in class. He's got Clayton McBullett and Stephen Hurd behind him at the moment. I say behind him, side by side with him as they go through. Swain up the inside. He has got Clayton McBuller on the outside. It switches across to the inside, and McBuller makes that move. As here comes Stephen Hurd to try and follow through. Got Philip van der Hoek behind as well. Vukovic does move into 2nd overall out front, but this is a 2x2 action, and Joel Swain is in the middle of a D1 class battle right now. We've got Clayton McBuller, Van der Hoek, and Stephen Hurd all fighting around him at the moment. In fact, Jared Swain is involved in this as well, and Matt Malone's just behind, so could try to take advantage of any issues that are going on ahead of him. Perhaps slightly wide there goes Joel Swain off the circuit, and that allows the D2 drivers through. And Jared Swain, and that's a late move from Jared Swain. He goes extremely deep, and Matt Malone has got up to 11th in all of that, taking advantage. Even with the inverts that normally have put him out towards the front, he's just not able to hold it usually. Side by side ahead, side by side behind. Philip van der Hoek on the outside of Clayton McBuller, couldn't quite do it. Stephen Hurd on the inside of Matt Malone could do it. This is Edgar and Vukovic fighting out for the overall lead. Edgar's going to want to hold it because that is Jeffrey Schneckel just behind. Edgar drops behind Vukovic here into the final turn. But Jeffrey Schneckel now could be in with an opportunity to try and take the lead in the D2 division right now. With all the shopping bags that are in here. But it is going to be running side by side now. Edgar and Schneckel for the lead of the D2 class. Schneckel tries the outside line. Can he get the speed on the exit? Edgar held a very tight line, and that is going to give Schneckl an abundance of speed over him up towards the final turn, and he backs out. Edgar backs out and lets Schneckl through. Our biggest gainers to show here. Vukovic, biggest gainer. Henriquez, biggest gainer. Jeffrey Schneckl, biggest gainer here. They're looking to get some bonus points after this race, as Vukovic can just see the gap that he's got out front. But this is side by side. Henriquez up the inside of Harry Fox, and he's got the inside line. Can Fox keep the speed on the outside though? They're side by side as they cross the line. Henriquez gets that inside line. Luis Henriquez, second in class. Here comes Harry Fox again on the outside line, but it's just not going to be enough, even with the additional speed you get running slightly wider there. Matt Malone has fallen to 14th place as he's fighting with Ian Lane. It looks like he's gone off the circuit somewhere. Henriquez trying to get past Edgar. This will be for third overall, but it's not for any class positions. He's going to go around the outside here, is inviting Harry Fox in. You can see why he needed to do it. Matt Gwillem's getting involved in this fight as well now. Up towards the hairpin. Just trying to keep Fox behind him as we head up towards the final turn. It is going to be Milan Vukovic once more wins feature race 2 from 18th on the grid. Schneckl wins Division 2 after 2 unfortunate penalties at the start of this race. And Milan Vukovic wins Division 1 and the overall race. Jeffrey Schneckl took second overall and wins the Division 2 race. Following behind was Luis Henriquez and Harry Fox. Richard Edgar, 5th overall and 2nd in class, followed by Matt Gwillem, Philip van der Hurt, Clayton McBullett and Stephen Hard. Anders Hangland rounds out the top 10 overall and the podium of the D2 category. Then we, coming up behind, we have P11 was Zach Gould, who held on to 4th in class and actually did a good job of holding a decent result in class by the end of it. We then had Matt Malone, followed by Jared Swaim and Ian Lane. Matt Malone getting past that gaggle of cars by the end of it after some issues on the last lap. Riley Downey took 15th overall ahead of Joel Swaim. Then it was Matty Quidlan, Peter McIntyre and Mark Codd. Bob Poplar finished lap down after getting the penalty for exceeding the instant count. Eric Martin retired out of the race after getting a meatball flag. Anthony Hilton also got a black flag and abandoned the race. Michael Wynn and Paul Braunstein both out of the race after meatball flags. And Andrew Jordan did not start the last race of the day. But until next week and until Winton, I hope you all have a fantastic week. And I will see you next time